we're very nearly there. The floors are welded in, and that's almost it. There's a few more bits to do, but we're very close to being able to take this off with a jig, which is what I've been really pushing to get that to that level with it, and then I can get the chassis painted. So that's been a real success. So we'll have a quick look in depth at it. So these panels here that you see with the seat runners attached to them, they're effectively jigs so that I can make sure the seats go in the right place, because obviously there's all those brackets that have to go in. So we'll have a look at that now. I'll come round. So there's the runners. Now I've cut these out so I could get to here to tack weld them in, get them in place. You see, like that, and then obviously I can get to that one, and this one don't need to get to that, and you'll see why. So that's like a datum, that stays in the chassis, that one. And then obviously these have to go in the right place. There's a bit of sticker flex here which is bled through as it's drying, but it won't really matter. And a few bits of swarf from where I was doing something on the mill. But yeah, so that's floor pans all fitted. Now if you remember, I made these in steel. Originally they'd be fiberglass, and they're not very nice, so it's best practice to replace them in steel, then weld them in. But I've also bonded them in, so belt and braces, so a bit of tiger seal, bonded them in and then welded them in as well, and then finished them off with a bit more tiger seal just around the edges. So that's it. So I reckon that's a nice little job in it. And if we have a look on the back here, we've had some progress around the back. So I was having a lot of issues with this tailgate, trying to decide which one to use, and that was, this is the original one, which is what I'm using. Now the whole point I was trying to get to this stage where I knew which tailgate to use was because I had to rebuild all this back, didn't I, and get all that done. So that's all done now, apart from just a little bit of finishing on this bit, which is this little perimeter. So I've just got to do a fold down on that. But that's it. So that's done. All this lot's done. And I'm just finishing off this bit around the side of the tank here. So we'll have a quick look at that. So we've got a bit of wheel arch area here to do, which I've made a new one of. Got a little bit of inner there that I'm doing. And then this sort of perimeter trim bit, I've just let the end of that in just to sort of do that. Now that needs welding into here. Then that stays like that, doesn't it? That hole's there, because that's where the bottom of the fuel tank goes. So it's like this sort of, it's where the delivery comes from in the fuel tank. So you get pipe work coming out of there, and it comes back up here and then goes through there and finds its way up to the engine. So that's that, and then that would have a little cover that bolts on from underneath, which we'll put in. And these are the tank straps that retain the tanks in there. So yeah, it's looking good, isn't it? I'm quite pleased with that. Now, I haven't been doing the dailies because I've been so busy with this that I haven't had time to record anything. But we'll get back to that soon, I think. Maybe do some more, show some other stuff doing. Now, the next thing to do is this bit here. So remember, this is all to do with this accident damage. So I'd cut that piece out to allow for me to straighten it out a bit. And then we've got another bit goes in here, which is to do with that, which takes the bumper. So the bumper, one of the brackets goes on there effectively. So this has got to go back on, or I've got to make a new one. We've got to decide. Well, I had to pull all this out, so this had all been pushed in. So I pulled all that out. Then this area was very corroded, so I've made a new one of them, which I'll get. Which does beg the question, should I make the whole thing entirely? But we'll see about that. I'm not sure it needs to be all made. And I quite like to save some of the original, where I can, because it seems the right thing to do. So that would become the front face of that one there, that go on there like that. But it does beg the question, should we just replace this, because it's quite nasty. See, that's the way it welds through, but underneath. And you can see these lines here that I've put in. This is where I was doing all the little gauges so I could measure it. So I made a set of gauges up to measure that and get it all in the right place. which I think were these. Let's see if we can find them. There you go, that was my set of gauges, wasn't it? A, B and C. So this was to enable me to be able to shape it up right. So it's quite a way out, you see. So that's why I made these. We'll have a look at the other side and you'll see what they look like there. So there's A, B and C. And you can see here where I've marked it. So that's the shape it needs to be, and that's what we've got to do here. Which begs the question, should I just make a new one? Because that's a, you have to make quite a bit of effort there to get that the right shape, and this is pretty nasty, isn't it? That might be reusable, that part, but I think maybe cut that out, cut this out. We can either reuse this and join it to the new bit, or maybe even just make a new one. We'll have to have a think about that. It's come on well, hasn't it? We're very nearly there. So I guess, we're not far away from this session being finished, so you better let me get on with it. So I'll carry on. You can go and have a cup of tea or whatever you want to do.